Hey, folks. Good evening.
Hey.
So we got a bunch of folks in here already. Brings joy to my heart.
As you can see, I still have not made a intro.
He's working on it, though. He's working on it. So we got a bunch.
It's going to be much simpler than the other one, just because the other one, it's like a minute and a half, almost 2 minutes long. I just need something long enough to where, as you guys are coming in, it's playing and welcoming you guys in and telling you to leave comments so we can go ahead and give some shout outs.
All right, so we got MB Heritage in here. Welcome, Michael and Bob. We got Ed from Southern Woodworking Homestead. Welcome, Ed. Ed just recently had a birthday, from what I understand. So happy belated to you, Ed. We got Michael Harrison in. Hello, buddy, from the great state of Texas. Let me do the other one. It was hard to find them. I got two different screens. One I use YouTube on, and the other one's got StreamYard on it. So,
I think StreamYard's easier to track comments. No,
I find YouTube.
YouTube easier. Yeah.
Betty Jean Holson, welcome. Who else?
Yeah.
Jamie Slate Music. I don't think Jamie Slate Music has been in here in the past. If you have been, I missed you. I apologize, but I think this is your first. If it is, welcome. We do this every Wednesday night. Residence Homestead, one of our Aussie friends. Welcome. We got the wonderful Highland Homestead, Eva up there. Eva was on a live yesterday and literally almost had me on the floor laughing when her husband comes home from work. He's hilarious in the background of her videos when he comes in impromptu without her expecting it. And it'll put a smile on your face every time. So tune in for Eva's. I don't know when her husband gets home because I guess he works like different schedules and all. But it's kind of funny when he comes home and she's not expecting it, or he shows up in her videos unexpectedly. Pretty funny. Put a smile on your face. Tina Ladybug, welcome. Willett Grove, the big man, the legend, the legend, Mr. Willett Grove, John from Cape Cod.
Don't give him so much credit. What's wrong with you?
I said the man, the myth, the legend, the oysterman.
The oysterman.
The oysterman. I saw Jules Small Gardening. I guess you had sent Jules some oysters, and I'm not a huge. I know people will take them and eat them raw and lightly steamed. I'm not a huge oyster fan, but anyway, other than on the grill, really well smoked. I love them like that. Paula Wells, welcome. We got Hat Creek Homestead in the house. Getting it done.
I have not forgotten about you, Hat Creek. I think I was supposed to get with them about some stuff as far as SEO. So pretty sure that was them. I still have the email.
I'm not sure.
I think I had like several people asking me at the same time if I could help out with some SEO stuff. I told her I was like super busy.
Getting it done there at 7. Welcome, Roland. Who else? I think I got everyone. Going down through Hickorycroft Farm, our guests of honor they're in the green room or the blue room, or I don't know what you call that, like on television. They're in the waiting room.
They're in the penalty box.
We got next week guests in here. Conrad Homestead, welcome, sir. All right, I think I caught everybody. If not,
did you get come on?
I did not. Well, he just come in. Come on, welcome.
Come on with the come on and the yee yee. Hey, I watched your video on how to make the siding on your barn, and we did something very, very similar to that, except it was a vertical. Take a lean-to and make it into the siding. We did the same thing with the greenhouse structure. Garden structure is what Dad's calling it, but the greenhouse, where we put them vertical. And hell, right now, metal is
Cheaper than
Pretty
wood.
cheaper than wood. So
I went to get one sheet of plywood, and this is from Home Depot. This isn't even like a local Ace Hardware. One sheet of half-inch plywood was $55.
they keep up with this right here, Pops. Whenever I move back to the back, I'm gonna have a metal back porch.
I mean, literally, metal is cheaper than wood right now. That's why I did ultimately most of the greenhouse is in galvanized, because that was cheaper when I was looking at plywood, exterior plywood versus metal. The metal was probably 30% cheaper than the wood. It's insane how much that stuff costs. $55 a sheet for a sheet of half-inch plywood.
Well, what happened was you built all of those massive wooden structures and shot the stock prices way up.
I had a lot of that stuff. Half of that greenhouse structure that got built from stuff that I already had. I had lots of wood, lots of places, and it was driving Lala crazy because she had. It was mainly out in her barn, and it took up like 1/3 of the barn was this gigantic, massive pile of wood, and she was constantly having to move around it. So when I told her that I was going to build that structure, and I took out probably 7 sheets of 3/4 inch exterior pressure treated wood that I've had for probably 4 years, that's all gone. All 4x4s were gone. So she was pretty happy, but there was still a stack out there that was probably 3 foot high by maybe 4 foot wide.
Still a few pieces right in front of the lawnmowers. So I think those are 2x6s, right?
Those are 2x4s. Those are all bent.
So anyway, let's get to the moderators.
So I think I missed a couple coming in. So Nothing Edited, welcome. Flavors and Textures, Bomber Steve, another one from down under. Keto Homestead with Jess. She's going to be on in a few weeks. We got Four Oaks Family Homestead in the kitchen with Karen. Welcome. So I think I got everybody. Flavors and Textures, they're in the house. So
$60 for 3 16-foot pressure treated 2x4s. You are out of your mind.
Who said that?
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of going.
That's an Ace Hardware price.
Yeah, I mean, it is insane how much wood is costing right now. So
that better come with a helper to put up whatever you're building for $60 for 3 2x4s.
It's insane. All right, so let's
moderators.
The moderators. So we got several of them in here tonight. So mods, if you can, please drop links the best you can. There's 23 folks in here. I'm sure we got awesome moderators. So Simply Jan, Jan from Simply Jan's Homestead, the wonderful Miss Eva from Highland Homestead. Again, if you're not familiar with the moderators channels, you know what we ought to do, Rick? What
ought we do, Dad?
I think we're going to think through this. So this isn't final. I think once we expire the folks that are currently on the schedule, once they're done, I think we need to have a live stream. Hold on. Nothing but moderators.
Live stream of nothing but moderators?
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Well, John from Will It Grow's not a moderator, so we can do that.
I think we need to.
He told me to behave earlier.
We need to do like a reunion as well of channels that have been on our guest and kind of see where they're at. Yeah, it's kind of like when you watch these shows, like when you were the 80s and now you Google them, where are they now? So that'd be kind of cool too.
Yeah.
So Paula Wells, she's also in Hill, and interesting news. So when I invited Paula to be a moderator for us a couple of months ago, I told her that I wanted to talk to her. So she called me. I'm sitting out in the greenhouse. I'm like dead tired. It's like the end of the day, and she calls me, and I'm sitting in there, and I invited her to be on as a get to know him segment, and she was kind of hesitant to do that. And last week she gave me the go ahead. Paula Wells is going to be on here as a guest, so I'm looking forward to that. That'll be cool.
It means the other moderators have to step up their game because she's going to be talking the whole time.
Yeah, she's going to be talking. We're gonna have like a moderator reunion, so we can just push moderator channels. That'd be cool.
So, Dad.
Hold on, I'm not done. Getting it done north of 7. Roland is in here. Thank you, sir. Roland just did another video this week of kind of the shed, but he did something different. Instead of just videoing the shed, he actually put plans out there for how we build. That's a great idea. Michael and or Bobby from MB Heritage Farm, Tony Walsh. I haven't seen Tony in here tonight.
Yeah.
Adventures of Frank and Tina, Ed's Attention to Detail, and Petway Family Farmstead. I gotta give James a call from Petway because he hasn't posted anything in probably a little over a week, and I want to make sure him and
okay.
Angela are good. Yeah, because Angela's out of the hospital now, just to kind of catch up with him.
So you know how I don't like telling poop jokes, right, Dad? I'm not a fan of them. But they're definitely a solid number 2. Which leads me into my next joke. So earlier I swallowed a Scrabble piece, and so my next poop could spell disaster.
I don't know where he's getting these. These are far beyond like stupid dad jokes.
All right. Hey, what's on your hat?
All right. So tonight, this is kind of a different one. Normally I do the ones, talking about, details where we lost service members. And then tonight, I'm not going to do that. Tonight, I'm highlighting the USS Gerald R Ford. Now, that may not mean anything to you, but for years and years and years, for the better part of the last 20, 30 years, the United States Navy, their carrier fleet has been Nimitz-class aircraft carriers. This is the new class of aircraft carrier, and this is the flagship for that class of aircraft carrier. So CVN 78, the N at the end of the CV. CV stands for flat top carrier. N stands for it's nuclear powered. Home ported up in Norfolk, Virginia. It's the lead ship in the class. Whenever a new class of ship is commissioned, the lead class is generally what that class is referred to. So all other aircraft carriers, probably for the next 30 or 40 years, will be Ford class carriers. Named after, obviously, Gerald R. Ford, as the name implies. Gerald Ford was, as you know, former president. Also was a Navy veteran, served from 1942 to 1946. And right after he got out of the Navy, he then went immediately into politics and was elected as a congressman from Michigan. But here's a little tidbit as I was researching the ship. Here's a little tidbit of information that I did not know that I kind of thought was really, really interesting. So Gerald Ford is the only president who has never been elected by the Electoral College, either as the vice president or as the president of the United States. He filled in for Spiro Agnew when Agnew resigned from the vice presidency in 1973. And then when Richard Nixon resigned, he stepped into Richard Nixon's role as president. So talk about being in the right place at the right time. That's probably the best example I've ever heard of that. So he's never been elected to either the presidency or the vice presidency. It's interesting. As of the date of commissioning, it's the largest aircraft carrier and the largest warship ever built in the history of the world, it displaces 97,000 cubic tons of water. And just for reference, I was curious if that's the largest. I wondered what was the largest up to that point when it was commissioned. And it was a Japanese battleship from World War II called I'm going to butcher this, called the Masashi. That weighed 73,000 or displaced 73,000 cubic tons of water.
It's actually pronounced Masashi.
That's what I said, isn't it?
No, you said Masashi.
Masashi.
Yeah, Masashi.
So up until that one, until the Ford was commissioned, is the difference between 73,000 cubic tons of displacement and 97. So not only is it bigger, it's significantly bigger than the second largest warship ever built. And just for reference, the Masashi was lost in the Battle of Midway. All right. So as I do every week, I want to thank all those members that are currently serving in any branch of the United States Armed Forces, all of the veterans who have served ever in the United States Armed Forces, and to all of those young people who think they may possibly consider in the future serving in the military. It is a great way to get your life started off on the right step. And I know some folks on here right now are prior service members.
Thank you.
What?
I was saying thank you.
Oh, I know there's several in the live tonight that are prior service members, so thank you very much. Your service is appreciated. So we have got the next guest in our Get to Know Him segment. I like how these how these get to know 'em segments have kind of evolved over time. When we first started, it was like a 15-minute gig, and it was kind of the standardized questions, and they weren't a whole lot of fun. They were kind of boring, in my opinion. So that's when we changed up
Because we started out with John.
No, we were just we were trying to force people into questions, and now we just kind of go where the discussion takes us, and it's been a lot of fun. So tonight's guest is Hickorycroft Farm with Chris and Steph.
Drum roll, please. Hey guys.
Hello. How are you? There you go. Now you got it right.
Good. How are you?
So where are you guys at? Are you coming from the house, or the outside, or what?
We're in the kitchen right now.
Yeah, we're in the kitchen. We're in the kitchen. Outside is under snow, so.
Where are the kids at?
The kids are not here.
Oh.
We planned it. We planned it all out.
They're either not here or they're waiting in the wings somewhere with threats of violence if they make a sound. Well, the reason I ask about your kids is, and I want to talk about it in a few minutes. I'll get to that in a moment. So tell us about Hickorycroft Homestead. So you guys are up in Ontario, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Kind of Eastern Ontario, and whatever we start.
We're we kind of are just sort of puttering along. We do a little bit of everything. We are, I guess you could say, striving for sustainability,
or as much as we can get.
Between growing our own food, we raise all our own meat product. That's kind of it. We're trying to teach the kids as we go how to make sure they've got what they need, and I don't know, we're just kind of enjoying life.
Yeah,
especially in these weird times. It's been great because our life really hasn't changed.
The thing is, I always, in preparation for this segment, I always kind of go through and look at the channels that are coming on, and I look at not only the new ones, but I go back and start looking at old stuff too, and kind of see how they've evolved. And here's what has impressed me the most about your channel, and I think your homestead in general. This was going to be my closing comments, so now I'm going to shift it all the way to the front. Is that a lot of channels, when you see, they're kind of learning things for the first time. They're just starting the homestead journey, and you're kind of walking hand in hand with them as they kind of figure things out. You guys have been doing this a while. This isn't.
Yeah.
I guess
the channel kind of come after you, long after you had started this, right? Is that accurate?
Oh, yes. Because we'd started, what is it? It's going on 14 years
We've been about 14 years now.
We've been doing it, and in various capacities. And then I guess the big thing was last year, 2019, we moved. And prior to moving, we were sort of thinking about doing the YouTube thing, but we never took the plunge. And then when we moved, we're like, you know what? We're setting up again. We're
kind of going through
starting over in some ways,
all over again,
building gardens and stuff. But yet at the same time, we've done it before, so we're like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate on the when people came to visit and did the tour, it was basically the same thing. We were giving people the tour around the farm and talking through it. And I mean, the number of people that said, you guys should do a YouTube channel, or you guys should write a book, or you should,
or something. Share it somehow.
So you were homesteading before it was even cool to be a homesteader. Is that
yeah, it's interesting actually, because we've kind of been through, there's like little ups and downs that have gone, like when we started, it was like the backyard poultry movement, like back in, what's that, 2008, when everybody was getting into chickens and stuff, was kind of when we got into it. And then you see them come and go, and I don't know, it's fascinating.
So now we're in another one of a lot of homesteaders right now, and then
a little different, but yeah.
Well, that's something my wife and I, we kind of evolved over. Your situation is kind of a reflection of kind of your life circumstances as you go through life, and you mature personally, and your life becomes a kind of, if someone would have told me 35 years ago, I'm going to be living in Northeast Florida on a small farm, and I'm going to have a big herd of goats and lots of chickens, I would say you're out of your damn mind. That's just not. I'm not going to be doing that. And it's just funny the path that life takes you, and how unpredictable it is, and how kind of all of those doors that you open and close throughout your entire life kind of define where you end up. And,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, even for us in a recent thing, with us getting into having cows, that's exactly kind of what happened. We had goats for many, many years, and when we moved here with a lot more property, and no fences, we were kind of like, maybe the cows
might be better for us than the goats.
It was a funny chain of events that even 2 years ago we would have never even thought would have happened, and here we are.
So I saw your Lynch lineback racing cows.
Yes,
that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So if you haven't seen their video, I think it's just entitled "Racing Cows" or something that. You just have 2 cows. 2 right now. There's a 3rd one coming.
Yeah, our bull is coming.
The weather has kind of prevented that in the last 2 weeks.
It's just a black and white, but they have a stripe down their back.
Oh yeah, it's a very recognizable marking, and they have to have that to be the breed. So,
and they're a very, very rare breed. There's only 84 of them in the world right now.
So that's like 2 of them. He's a rare breed too.
I've never even heard of them, but the video that they put up is they entitled just "Racing Cow," and these cows are just literally racing around this pasture and chasing each other. It's pretty fun.
They are the most I mean, I'm not familiar. We weren't familiar with cows personally when we got these ones, but they are the most athletic cows I think I've ever seen.
And they were doing that all on their own. Nobody was doing anything. They were just doing laps.
I mean, I've seen cows run, but cows run for very short spurts.
Exactly.
And then they stop. These ones were running laps. It's like,
and they do it every day. They do it.
They were the Prefontaine of the cattle world. I mean,
we said they better never get out, or we're never going to find them.
The typical cow's like a 100-yard sprinter. These were like marathon runners. They kept running and running and running. So it's pretty fun.
Oh, they're a joy to have. I mean, I did not ever think I'd be a cow person, but I'm coming around.
Yep,
they have racing stripes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if I recall correctly, they're white with a black stripe. Is that correct?
They're black on the side, and white legs, and then white on the back, and
they have like little white garters around the top of each leg.
Mm-hmm. It's a unique marking. I mean, there's no mistaking them. If that's how they're uniquely marked, there's no mistaking.
And they're nice because they're a little smaller than your average cow.
What are you raising them for? If there's only 8 in the world, I'm sure you're not raising them just for meat.
There's 82 in the whole world.
84.
Or 84. Okay. Sorry, 84.
Still, they're dual purpose. Actually, technically triple, but so we're definitely going to raise them for milk. We will do meat as well, because 50% of them will be boys, and you don't need all of them. So,
why are they so rare? I'm assuming, did they not produce well, or
no? I'm going to somewhat butcher it. There's better people that could explain it than I can, but essentially going way, way back to when there was Upper and Lower Canada. Upper Canada had this kind of cow. They weren't called Lynch linebacks at the time, but they were pretty common. But then as new breeds, like they were some of the first to be brought into Canada, basically. But then as new breeds came in, they kind of got displaced a lot in favor for Holsteins, which were quite a bit later. And basically, most of them just got eaten, to put it very bluntly.
And then the ones that didn't get eaten just got bred out more. They just continued to get less and less and less and less purebred.
Exactly. 100%. And basically, there was one family that they ran an abattoir, and they just noticed
they collected them.
Yeah, they basically collected them and noticed.
Down Under Farm in Ford says they all ran away. They raced away.
It's an interesting story that they collected them from the islands in the I don't know how familiar people are, but in our area we have the 1,000 Islands along the St. Lawrence, and they collected them from these 1,000 islands in the St. Lawrence and swim them to Canada across the St. Lawrence.
Mm-hmm. But we're going to do a video kind of explaining it. We just haven't quite got there yet. But it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. So I don't know how they all got eaten if you can't catch them. I mean, those things run fast.
Well, luckily they like their food.
Yes.
So you guys got 495 subscribers, or at least you did as of this morning. So
yeah, we're getting there.
And you've added in the last month 108 videos. Is that right? I mean, you guys are like hard.
No, we do a video a day.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. I've screwed up my note then, because you've done 100. You started the first video, it looks like, was July 23rd of 2020, and since then you've done 193 videos. That's more than one a day in some instances. That's a lot of videos.
The lives end up being a double because we still produce a video on the days we do lives. So I think it counts them.
We kind of just video whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
But usually there's a lot of stuff that goes on. So yeah, that's, I guess, basically what we've been decided to do.
You know, we kind of tackled it. Yeah. We started with maybe we won't. And then you start filming stuff. We get into the habit where you carry the camera with you all the time. And then you get out there and you've got, all of a sudden you've managed to acquire 10 days worth of videos because you've filmed so many different things. And of course, you know, you can't, well, we kind of condense some of them, but a lot of them you end up going, oh, well, that's a good video. And so
that would ends up being that would drive my wife bonkers if everywhere I went I had a camera. She would draw the line there. I mean, we got to be very picky with what we videotape, because number one, she doesn't particularly like being on camera. She does it begrudgingly, although I think she's pretty good at it. We really had to talk her in to come on the live last week because she wasn't all that thrilled about that. So.
We watched the one about the mixing the grains.
Yeah, she did a great job on that one.
Okay. Yeah, she knows her goats. I mean, that's her thing. So your guys' first video was July 23rd of 2020. Do you remember what it was?
It was our kids in the garden because we made them go first.
They were pretty excited about it.
That's why I asked where your kids were. That is the most adorable video. But it begs the question, who was directing them?
Nobody.
They
just went and did that. That's why we put that one on, because we basically gave them your phone and they went around and just looked at stuff in the garden and were chatting about it. And
people around the garden. That was their, and it was one of those they are 8 and 9.
They've got incredible knowledge of that garden then, so they obviously are not amateur gardeners.
No, it's amazing. That's one of the things that's amazing about it, because when you start videoing it, and you realize how much they actually have absorbed over time.
We always think when we try and teach them, they're not listening at all. It's going in one ear, out the other, and whatever. And then you just leave them alone. And next thing you know, you're like, holy cow, look at them IDing all these plants.
Yeah.
Well, the crazy thing is we know all too well what you're talking about, because I have 3 children. I have Maddie, which is, Lala's shadow. Then I got Patrick, which is my shadow. And then we got the one that we just did the birdhouse with last week, Rick Isaac. And exactly. And you gotta love Rick Isaac. If you ever meet the kid, I mean, he is he's got this brain that like nobody understands except him. And he just every once in a while he comes in and he'll show you something. He showed us a lockbox that he made out of Legos, and it was me and Papa's job to get into this lockbox, but he made it to where, of course, you could take apart the box because they're Legos, but he made it to where you really have to it's almost like a Rubik's Cube he built.
Yeah.
And it's, and exactly what you guys said, if you leave him, if you think that he's not listening, you think that they're not listening, but really they are. And then you leave him alone long enough for him to do some damage, and he surprised you. for sure. You gotta love it. I love that kid to death. But
he come out last night, and I'm sitting there, and I'm reading a book in my chair, and he comes out, and he literally, and he didn't know it was a thing. He's never heard of it, never seen one. He made a kaleidoscope out of toilet paper towel holders and toilet paper that he colored different colors. And he made himself a kaleidoscope out of that. And he says, look at the light through it and turn it. This has been a thing for a long time, Rick Isaac, but that's just he's only 9 years old. He's got a very inventive mind. Really, really cool kid.
Oh, that's good.
That's very cool.
So that was my two questions about your kids. Is like, who was directing that, and how many takes did that take?
That was their first ever video. They filmed it completely on their own. No, I shouldn't say it. I filmed the two of them right at the beginning when they were standing together. I said, okay, I'll just hold the camera because they were fighting over who was going to do the intro. And so I just said, I'll hold it for you. And then I gave it back to them, and they came back into the house. Well, I don't know. They probably filmed about 45 minutes worth, and we kind of edited it down after that. But I mean, it was a hard edit because they'd done so much good stuff and things like that. Unfortunately, at the end, I'm pretty sure that they promised a second tour, and then they never delivered it.
Well, you guys, I saw, what is it? What do you call it? Your Homestead Hack series. That's pretty cool. Go and check that series out. But you guys need to start, like, if they're that knowledgeable of gardening, you need to start like a whole nother gardening series and call it like gardening with James and Alex or something, because I was really impressed with how much they knew about your garden.
We have thought about that. I think it was just last year because we started filming sort of while things were well into the garden season. We didn't. They've
got plans for gardens and stuff for this spring, that they have videos they want to make, and we're just going to kind of let them go with it. We said maybe we'll start a little separate playlist on the channel and kind of let it go and see what happens with it. I mean, at this point, they're both kind of at the age where they think something's really, really great, and then they get into it, and then it's sort of just like they move on to the next thing. So I'm
still at that age.
I think we are too. It's just, it looks more reasonable because we collect different animals, different plants, different.
That's why we never finish a project.
Yeah, that's right. That's why we never finish.
Always 3/4 finished.
So yesterday you guys posted a really excellent. I applaud you for your trailer that you put up yesterday. It's really good, and that's why I was saying that earlier. You guys have really. The range of activities that you're doing on your homestead is really, really impressive. And I think you highlight that very well in that trailer video. So
that's excellent.
So kudos to you. It was really, really well done.
It was interesting trying to get, because you want it to be that 2.5 minute type thing, and to try and condense everything that we wanted to try and portray into that was quite challenging.
Bit of a challenge.
Can you pull that up and play it?
Yeah.
Does it got music on it? I don't think it's got any music. I don't recall.
It does, but it's what do you call that?
It's the royalty-free music or whatever.
Off the YouTube studio, or?
It's off of what's the one that we use? The audio something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Audio library.
Yes.
I think so. It's one of the.
So this is your description. If you can pull it up, that would be cool, Ricky. Here's your description. Canadian family homesteading adventures. Sentence number 2. On a miserable Halloween day in 2019, we purchased a new farm. So you're combining this miserable day with something of joy.
It was
the worst day ever.
Yeah. If we had the camera, we should have filmed it, because it was just like we'd spent weeks packing, and of course you're moving all the animals with us.
And we moved very, very fast because we did kind of a video on this somewhere, and I think it was around our 100th video.
Like that.
Basically we had problems with our neighbors, and so over roosters. And so we had to make the decision quite quickly to either move or remove animals. And so
So you had problems with your neighbors' roosters coming to
your
house?
No. They had a problem. We lived in an area.
We lived in a rural area, but anyways, there was a noise complaint, and then there was some technicalities.
And our property was even though we had 7 acres there, our property was divided. So our home and some of the animals were on a little 2-acre plot, and then we had 5 acres across the road. And so we could only keep animals in the 5 acres. The 2 acres was not large enough in our township to allow us to have animals. So anyways, long story short, we ended up end of August, we decided we tried to fight it. It didn't go in our favor. So we decided to move. And by 2 weeks later, our house was sold. 3 weeks later, we were like, we got to buy something. And then we moved into this one October 31st. So it was a 2-month turnaround, moving horses, sheep, goats, everything. Wow. Anyway, it was quite an adventure. And so it was well worth it, but it was quite the story.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, we lived at our previous house. It was like 2.5 acres. But we couldn't have animals really on it. We could, but it wasn't really configured in that fashion. And it was really kind of butt right up against the property line of our neighbors. And they had, really nice fencing and everything. And, it just wasn't conducive to livestock and chickens because, the funny thing is the other guy across the road from us had horses, and he allowed when he first got his chickens, allowed them to free range. And that was the last time that I had a garden. And I emphasize had, because in a matter of a week, the chickens ate my garden from literally what they didn't eat, they scratched, and it was destroyed.
They're good at that.
Well, that's, so we've been free ranging our chickens now since 3.5 years. And so I'm building my garden structures now. And one of them is going to be a fence that is deer proof and chicken proof that they can't get into.
A chicken proof garden fence makes a huge difference.
Yes. we did our in-ground one we fenced last year, but we thought, our raised bed one will be fine. And no, because we free range as well, and the chickens found it. So that's one of the first priorities this year is fencing the rest of the garden now.
Kid Family Farm says chicken soup. Well, because I sell all my eggs, Mac. I can't just make soup out of everyone that gets into the garden. So here's your trailer video. Yeah, this is really well done. It's only a couple minutes, folks. There's a sound on it, right?
I don't hear sound, but then I'm on StreamYard, so I don't know if it makes a difference.
Should have sound.
Folks, can you hear the sound? Is the sound coming through on your end? Because I don't hear anything in my earphone. I don't hear sound. Something is muted.
All right. Well, you guys need to head on over to Hickorycroft Farms and
just watch it.
Watch their trailer. And I will continue to try to troubleshoot this.
Oh, technology.
Yeah, technology's supposed to make it easier, but it doesn't.
All right, so if you can try to see if we can figure that out. It really is a well done trailer. What else? Let me look at my notes here. So the property where you're at right now is on 38 acres.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you using that whole 38?
We dream of it.
We're not currently. What do we have around there? We've got fenced. We've got aspirations to have about 7 acres fenced for the sheep. And we are what?
Well, we've got about 4 acres. We're doing them 1 acre pastures. So we've got about 4 acres fenced now. Mm-hmm. And then riding, like the horse riding rings and things like that, which kind of we use. And then we have plans for finishing off the rest of that 7 acres first thing in the spring. We already bought all the product. Like you said, we were worried about the price of wire, the price of posts. We were worried about it all. So we got it all beforehand. So we're ready to go as long as the tractor wants to work. And come spring, we'll get those finished up. But the back is about...
it's about a 10 acre...
Used to be a hayfield.
Yeah, because we're kind of situated as you go back from the house. There's rocky outcroppings, so a lot of those we're going to leave because they would be far too hard to fence.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got another sort of 10 acres of pretty usable pasture.
Well, and we're really big on, you know, nature and keeping areas. We're both big birders. We love birding. We love attracting them to our properties. So we're allowing a lot of brush areas that most people would probably say clear it out, that's good pasture. We're still keeping those. And we got a little maple bush that we're kind of hoping to do maple syrup one day, so that's staying. And
on the agenda.
Yeah, eventually. Lots of things to come.
You said something, and I don't remember which video it was, but it's like there's always one more thing on the list, so you're never really done ever.
No, exactly.
We find our list, we make a list, and it's always massive because we know realistically you're trying to get 40% of that list done.
Yeah. So, I mean, we separate our list into winter tasks and summer tasks. So winter tasks are fencing, building structures. So that's all got to be done from basically late October to very late February. So there's about 4.5 good months where it's not uncomfortably hot outside, where you can actually do things consistently. But starting around about early March, it just starts getting warm, and by late May, you just can't go. You can't be outside in an uncovered area without dehydrating. So that's when we do all of our inside stuff. So I just finished the greenhouse a couple of weeks ago. Now I'm working on getting the beds filled for the garden. So that'll be done this weekend, or most of it. And then I'm running all the electrical this summer because that's all under shade.
Actually, that's a good idea to have it planned out that way.
Oh, it's crazy, but it never ends. There's always one more thing. Did you figure it out, Rick?
I don't know. I'll find out in approximately 2 seconds.
Welcome to Hickorycroft Farm, where we share with you our life on our 38-acre homestead located in Eastern Ontario, Canada. We enjoy learning new things and are always excited to share our knowledge with you. Our goal is to produce year-round a wide variety of fruits and vegetables in our garden spaces. In our quest for a more sustainable lifestyle, we are interested in using permaculture ideas and techniques to help develop our property. In the kitchen, we enjoy sharing recipes and other ideas, many from the items we have produced right here on the homestead. Processing and storing food and supplies, as well as general preparedness, is an important part of life on the homestead. By growing open-pollinated and heirloom vegetables and fruits, we are able to build on our self-reliance by being avid seed savers. In addition to gardening, the farm is home to a variety of animals that provide us with meat, eggs, milk, fiber, and other products. The homestead is the ideal place for heritage livestock breeds to shine. We are crafters and artisans, great secondary homestead skills. And even though we are not experts, do-it-yourself homestead projects are always ongoing, and we enjoy sharing our progress as well as any tips we may learn. Homestead hacks and how-tos often are subjects on the channel, and like any small farmer homestead, fencing is always on the to-do list. Stewardship of the natural world around us is also very important as we develop our homestead. So join us as we move towards a more sustainable lifestyle.
That's cool. Well done. I think, you kind of cover everything in there, and I was really impressed because you get the feel that you've been doing this a while. That the YouTube channel didn't come and then your decision to become a homesteader, but you've been doing this for a while, and I think you get that sense by going through your videos. If you really spend the time to dig back through them, that I would probably say you're probably experts at this. You've been doing it a while. You're far ahead of the learning curve where other folks are still trying to figure things out, such as myself. You've been doing it a while, so kudos to you guys.
But there's always stuff to learn. We've got there's so many little experiments and things we're trying.
The worst bit is, and this is it's a good and a bad thing to the YouTube world, is we were on a path that we thought we'd figured out. And then you get into the YouTube world and you start watching what other people are doing and you get ideas. And then you go, I think we should try that.
We could do that.
we could do that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, why don't we get this? Or why don't we try, the one ongoing one is ducks or, or bees. That would be another one. Like we watch Castle Hives and we watch a few others and, go, maybe we should try it. And so it's just like, oh gosh, what are we going to get into next?
Well, and that's, and I think my wife at first probably thought, he can't focus on one thing. Why has he got to do all these other, and it's just kind of, I love learning, and there's no better way to do that than doing it yourself and make the mistakes and then adjust what you've done, change it until you get it right. And that's that's probably, a lot of people give up and, something goes wrong. They say, well, I can't do that. And they just quit and say, I'm not going to do it anymore. It's like, that's the worst thing in the world. There's no better experience than failing because you learn to appreciate
you just grow from it. So you just grow into more.
Conrad Homestead had a question for you guys. He says, I have asked you the question everyone asks me. How do you make money to support yourselves on the homestead?
Well, we have
point fingers at people.
He's the money. He's the money.
At this point in time, it's an off-farm job.
Yeah.
But it's kind of one of those things. Like, I guess our thing is not necessarily for the homestead to like turn a profit. We go into this a lot. Yes. But it's more to reduce costs in other ways. Like, for example, the obvious one is we don't really buy meat.
Our grocery bill keeps down.
Or we don't really buy eggs or even the produce as we continue to grow that. You just kind of, you're trying to find that balance, that elusive balance between.
The long-term goal would be to, I used to watch all these, money expert people, then, the living out of a jar. Basically, eventually, the long-term goal is for the farm to be a jar, and what comes in from the farm goes into the jar, and what goes out goes out. But Chris works a day job, 9 to 5, to pay the mortgage and everything else, because there's no way we could do it otherwise.
Right, and that's a great, excellent answer, because we're the same way. We have never, at least at this point, our plan has never been to replace our regular income. So, but it's to, and I guess it boils down to how you define what homesteading is. And I'm on a lot of lives, and they ask similar questions as Conrad Homestead did. This will be a great topic for next week to have a discussion with them. Is, some people will define homesteading as you're completely self-sufficient and you're really, everything is either grown or bartered and you don't even have a bank account. And I'm like, that's never been our mission, is to be in that position. I frankly would not want, I enjoy going to a restaurant from time to time and having a steak that we don't cook. That makes me happy.
And that's a really hard thing to get to too. Right. Like, we always said this, for example, if the land, like growing up in a rural area where, I went to school with lots of people that were farmers, if the land was in your family, then you might be able to do that, but everything takes time. Like a farm's like a little mini ecosystem as far as inputs and outputs, and that's the time.
Our goal has been, since we started our homestead, and we're not quite there, but we will be very soon. I think once we get the garden up and going, and that's been we've been dealing with infrastructure, buildings and fencing.
Oh, your greenhouse will make a huge dent.
Well, and so once we can eliminate a lot of the food bill that we have, that our goal, or my goal, has always been the cost is zero to operate your farm.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean you're making a living doing it, but it doesn't cost you anything out of pocket. So all of that money that you make from your off-farm job is going to, lifestyle issues, whatever that is, reinvestment into your farm, or ideally savings so that you can retire early and then enjoy that life without requiring an on-farm job. So, we're several years from that, but that's kind of our goal. It's like, I think you guys commented, I posted something on our community page where I got 77 eggs in a day. So, I took a picture of those because the girls have been on hiatus. They've been on their union break for the last 2 months. And we might get a dozen a day. And so we changed their feed over to their winter ration. And now they're back up to almost up to full steam, because we sell on a typical week, I sell 35 to 40 dozen eggs at $4 a dozen. That period, that window of time essentially pays their feed bill the entire year.
We're the same. Yeah.
So, so I've got unlimited supply of eggs. I can eat as many eggs I want. I don't pay for them. We've got as much chicken as we could possibly eat. And the feed cost us nothing. So
that's exactly it.
So our chicken operation cost us nothing, although I've got a little over 100 birds. The investment is upfront, developing the structures and all of that. But when you amortize that over the life of the farm, that's next to nothing.
And that's the hard part, though, too, right? Because you have that investment upfront, like you say. You can't. Well, maybe gardening's a little nicer. I say that in a really loose term, but it's like as soon as you get into animals, you have to have that infrastructure, or it's even harder.
Yeah, but, we don't have really fancy goats, but we've got a herd of Kiko goats, and our goal from the beginning has been to develop seed stock that we feel good selling to others as seed stock. So, some people would say, how much did you pay for your goat? And I'm not even going to talk about how much we paid for some of our goats, but what I will say is that once we get to the quality of breeding program that our goal would support, we'll be able to sell our kids at a year old for $1,500, $2,000 each. And when we're having 30 or 40 kids a year, and most of them are saleable animals as breeding stock, the goats will become net zero cost as well.
Well, and this is something like you're breeding and you've quality animals. You've got something that has a value, and that's one of the things for us that we say is quite important. We don't just breed sheep; we breed Icelandic sheep, and we've chosen that strategically because when we get a program started, they have a resale value. A lot of our thoughts often go into sometimes the animal. This is going to sound a bit morbid, but it's worth more alive than dead. It's not for meat. It's worth more.
And that goes
as
right
a breeding
back into
stock,
like what you were saying about covering costs, because if you
helps to just cover everything.
I mean, we every year we make the difficult choice of culling 2 of our breeding. Our lowest 2 producing breeding does are in my freezer, and that happens consistently. So we've reached the point now where now we're looking at culling some really good does because they're at the low end of the quality spectrum of what we have now.
And it gets so hard to stay to that rule.
That's exactly right.
And then you end up with twice as many. I'm that way with rabbits.
But at the same time, that's a really good thing when you get to that point that the ones that you're thinking of taking out of the herd or flock or whatever are still of excellent quality. Like, I don't know, that for whatever you're breeding, that's like, when you get to that point, that's impressive.
Right. So that's our long-term goal. But again, it all depends on how you define the concept of homesteading to you. For us, it's purely self-sufficiency, and it doesn't cost us anything. So we'll be able to retire early. So, all right, so then I don't have to go to work, and I can just sit here and watch the sunrise and sunset every day and go play in my workshop. That's my life goal at this point in life.
It's a good one.
It's a good life goal.
It is. I mean, I'm it's a few years off, but that's my life goals. I want to. It would be It would be my happy place if I get up every morning, I take my shower, I brush my teeth, and I just don't come back in until 9 o'clock at night. That would be my happy place in life.
Yeah, I like that.
He's been doing that. He's been doing that the last couple weeks. Ever since that greenhouse got out there, he like hibernates during the day underneath the shelter.
I'm outside at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm gone, and I come back in about 9 o'clock. And
you're out there planning.
That's exactly what he's doing. His brain's going faster than wheels turn on a vehicle. Yep, there it goes.
That's my garden plan.
Nice.
I'm a planner. I don't do anything willy-nilly. I spend a lot of time, a lot of energy, so that to make sure that things go right, because it's money invested.
Oh, we know that feeling.
And if it doesn't go right, you say it went exactly how you planned it.
So you guys, I mentioned this a little bit earlier. You guys have a pretty interesting series that I thought was pretty interesting, called your Homestead Hacks. And this is again, if you guys have not checked out, if you haven't checked their channel out, go check it out, because they've got some really great content. But this Homestead Hacks, dried bean pods for starting a fire. So they're using dried bean pods instead of wood kindling for starting a fire, which I thought was pretty interesting. And then spruce cone is this is kind of a, I don't know the answer to this, I'm not being funny. Is a spruce cone, I know it's an evergreen, but is that a pine? Is that a form of pine?
It's basically the same as a pine cones from a pine tree, spruce cones from spruce tree.
Mm-hmm.
But they're the same basic thing.
All the conifers have some kind of cone.
And then poplar twigs for rabbits. So they're eating that, and that was interesting. And then using wood ash for traction. I used to do that when I was a kid, because we had wood stove when I was growing up in our workshop. And whenever we got stuck, that's the first place we went, to that stove, and just threw that down on the ground, get some traction. So, all right, I just got a note from my co-host that I'm at 55 minutes. So, anything that you guys want to kind of let everybody know what differentiates you from everyone else, and to lure them over to your channel?
I think one of the things that we kind of pride ourselves on, or we're developing everything we don't tell people this is how you have to do something. We're just sharing how we do it, and hoping that people get something out of it that they can take home and
put to use, or give them an idea.
And we're trying to kind of do like that nice blend. There's a bit of our story in there, but there's still a bit of information as well.
Mm-hmm. And a whole lot of different stuff.
And there's something for everybody.
And a lot of different stuff. So, and that was my note. The impression was a lot of variety in your videos. Building projects. This was just a small sampling. Gardening, cooking, and tons of livestock and animals. And you got the cutest darn rabbits. They're pretty adorable. All right, folks. Any other questions, Rick?
What do we use the cones for? For feeding the bunnies.
Mm-hmm. They actually do eat them, but it also
they still get their other food as well. But that's just a supplement.
It's like a supplement, a free supplement, and they're easy enough for us to collect here. So,
well, the interesting thing is maybe it's I don't know if it's the same, but for goats, for example, any of the evergreen family, pine trees in particular, are really good as a natural dewormer. It really increases their parasite resistance in a goat if they have free access to pine trees.
We used to cut the pine and the cedar and stuff and feed it to the goats all the time.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you look through their pasture, the doe pasture.
6 foot.
There's a 6 foot canopy. And it's as high as Leia, the biggest goat in our herd, can reach.
Yep.
Because she'll climb the tree, and everything below her height is gone. I mean, you can see right through the pasture at her height.
Yeah. That's where we like the sheep, because they don't stand up on things. So they're pruning at a 3 foot height instead of a 6 foot height.
But see, I would love to have the goats in the pine tree section. We really have never done a video anywhere near the pine tree section, because it's just, I mean, you can't really see through it. They're all, what do you like, 4-year-old pine trees, Dad?
Yeah.
Right? they're about 4-year-old pine trees, and they're at that size and at that age that they are just an absolute pain in the rear end to mow. And it's hard to even like round up help or try to like get my wife to help me with it, because nobody wants to do that job, because you get out and it's like you stick to everything because you're just full of sap. And I might give that to my son and tell him, hey, listen, man, I'll give you
this is what my son looks like. This is what my son looks like when he's whining. Don't listen.
I'll give you like 25 cents a pine tree just to go out there and like get all the limbs off.
Wah, wah, wah.
So,
folks, this was fun. I appreciate you coming on. And,
thank you very much for having us. This has been great.
Yes.
And thank you to everybody for all the fantastic comments. I've kind of been reading them, but it's one of those I haven't really responded. But thank you very much.
It appears that you guys have grown. I don't know, maybe 10 subscribers since we started. So at least we can help you guys out a little bit, and hopefully some more people see this video after it completely live streams and goes on YouTube.
495 this morning. Where are they at now?
We had an update. It was over 500, so we pushed them over the 5. So you guys are over 5. That's awesome.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, this was fun. It's great getting to meet you and chatting, and stay in touch.
Yes,
shall do. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys.
Thank you. Take care.
Night.
Bye-bye. All right, that was fun. So next week we have Conrad Homestead. They are in here and they were interacting tonight.
5:04, so almost 10.
Conrad Homestead on 210, 217 is Lee's Arkansas bound. 224 is Keto Homestead with Jeff. 33 is Sweeney's Creek Farm. 310 is Paula Wells, and then 317 is Flavors and Textures. And I think I'm going to talk to Little Rick. I think we're going to have like a moderator reunion on the next one after that. That'd be fun, or some kind of get together. Maybe it'll be like old guests and not old guests in terms of age. Prior guests is probably a better way to say that. It's like asking when you're in school, can I go to the bathroom? And he goes, I don't know, can you? All right. So it's at 8:02. So we had another one, some of these videos, it's like you're really, really hard to tell whether or not they're going to actually stick when you put them out with respect to like the shorts. But we had one. You got that queued up, Ricky?
You're
not reading.
It said play short of Ellie Mae.
Yes.
You
don't have that queued up, do you? No,
you don't.
Mind. Never mind. All right. So let's do the giveaway. So this is either for a shirt of your choice or a $10 Amazon gift card. And the question is, this is probably going to be a really, really, really quick one. Tony Walsh says, they are calling for 10% snow, not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, don't you? Tony Walsh, if I get snow down this far, I will be shocked. Since I've lived in Florida since 1986, I've seen flurries 3 times, and I've seen snow actually stick. And I wasn't even here this year. It was Christmas Day of 1989, and I was in Gibraltar, but I called Lala. Ricky was like 1 year old, and she said, "You'll never believe what's on the ground." And snow was not what I guessed. I thought it was rain, and we got 2 inches of snow that lasted until noon.
And Jacksonville completely shut down.
They were, if anybody in here is even familiar with Jacksonville, but they were sledding down the Matthews Bridge, which at that time was a main bridge over the St. Johns River.
There was
right through the middle of Jacksonville.
I mean, you got to think about it. Nobody down here in Florida, North Florida, South Florida, don't matter. Nobody down here in Florida has snow tires.
Yeah.
The only people that could get around is people in Baker County, because they have like all-terrains. Everybody has all-terrains. But like people in Jacksonville, they just have like road slick tires. And so like I said, it just completely shut down the entire city. So yeah, 2 inches of snow completely shut it down.
Yeah.
So Hold on, we're gonna play this video and then we'll do the giveaway.
So here's the backstory. So Ellie Mae is our Great Dane, and Ellie has this bizarre fascination with watching television. Every morning she will watch the news, and she just sits there and stares at television watching the news, and you know she's watching because her head's tracking all over the television. But she's also has a bizarre fascination with the movie The Secret Life of Pets. So this was last Sunday, and we're sitting there with the kids watching The Secret Life of Pets, and this is Ellie Mae watching this movie.
100%.
So she's just sitting there. She's intently watching this. And watch when the cat falls over. I would like to say that it's like something novel, but every time she watches that movie at that particular scene, it scares the crap out of her. It's kind of like us watching a scary movie and you get into that scene where you know what's going to happen because you've watched the same movie 3 times, 4 times, a dozen times. It doesn't matter. You still jump at that scene. That's what Ellie Mae does every time that stupid scene comes up, and it just scares the living crap out of her. It is pretty funny.
So Roland asked if I was born in 85.
Who did?
Roland asked if I was born in 85.
No.
I was born, he says, geesh, that's when I started my job. Well, I'm going to make you feel a little bit older than that, Roland, because I was born in 88.
He was born in 88, and that's how I always that's my frame of reference for this freak snowstorm in Jacksonville. It was December of 1989 because I was en route back. I was in the Navy. I was en route back from the Persian Gulf for 6 months, and Christmas Day of 1989, I was in Gibraltar, and that's where I called Ricky from to wish him his first happy Christmas or Merry Christmas. So let's give away a shirt or an Amazon gift card. This one's going to be easy, I think, but we'll see. So in our recent video on potting soil, what is the 3 most common ingredients in most retail, not what I talked about, most retail potting soil mixes? Not what I talked about in the video, but what is the 3 most common ingredients in most retail potting soil mixes?
That is accurate. Kid Family Farm says you just have lots of miles, little Rick. Yes, I have done a few endeavors.
Peat moss, perlite, and lime. Johnny boy nailed it. That's absolutely right. So peat moss, perlite, and lime are the 3 most common ingredients. And,
so Conrad Homestead said perlite, vermiculite, and peat moss and lime. Vermiculite is not in most of your commercial soil mixes. Papa, why is that?
Perlite's cheaper.
Yep.
Period. And I use both, and we're doing a video this weekend on really probably 4 videos this weekend on various aspects of what we're doing in the garden area, and 2 of them are going to be about we use 2 different types of soil. One of them uses perlite, one of them uses vermiculite. Perlite if you've held them in your hands, perlite's a lot smaller because we use the large coarse pieces of both perlite and the vermiculite, and they have different functions. Perlite is used for good drainage, and vermiculite is used for moisture retention. So in our gardening soil, which going into the beds, we use peat, compost, and vermiculite, and in our potting mix, it's peat, perlite, and lime, just a very small amount of lime to adjust the pH up slightly. And because I usually don't pot the plants in the little tiny cells. I used to do that, and then I've got to transplant them, particularly if they don't get out into the garden in time. So I generally use just standard red Solo cups. I can develop a much better root system in those. So,
John, I'm assuming you still have our email. Just email us the size and which shirt you want, buddy. I'll write you down now just to make sure that we know why you're emailing. So, but yeah, shirt size and which one you want.
Yeah, go to the store. Rick put the link in here, John. Just send me the size, the color, and the design that you want, and I'll get it ordered for you. It won't take nearly as long as before, I promise, because now we're using Teespring for fulfillment. So excellent. So we're kind of wrapping this up. A few more topics. So Magnus the bottle baby. Everybody asks about Magnus the bottle baby. Magnus, you'll be happy to know, is out of the house. He's been out for about a week and a half now. He's actually living with the goats, learning how to be a goat. And anyone with children that's in here, will remember that first time where the baby took solid food. When your child takes solid food. So Lala comes running into the house last night. She said, Magnus ate some straw. So her baby took his first bites of solid food yesterday. And so she couldn't be happier.
He was ecstatic.
Yeah, he's almost up to 10 pounds. And that sounds like a lot, but his our average birth size was 6.5 pounds, 7 pounds. So his birth weight was 3.1. So he's half the size of everybody else. So most of our other goats now are up to 16 to 20 pounds. Magnus is at 9. So he's still a tiny little fella. But Madeline's been working with him intently on leash training. So he's going to be a full-size Kiko goat that is fully leash trained and basically bites at your socks. He's a gigantic baby. He's going to
come on, homesteading. We get our compost over in Jacksonville, in Arlington. I know it's a drive. We got ours delivered. It was one truck, Dad, right? 18 yards or something like that. It was a decent size. It was a decent sized truck, but we get it from Arlington. They actually have a place. What is that place called, Dad?
Mulch and More.
Yeah, Mulch and More. They have an actual organic compost that they mix themselves. So, and it's for what it is. It's actually very reasonably priced, in my opinion.
I bought one. It was like I want to say, I bought one 118 cubic yard truck. And after we get the beds filled this first time, then all the rest of the compost is going to be done on farm. But we can't produce enough to fill all of the beds that I've got. So we ended up having to buy some to get them filled. But after this season, then everything is going to be either chicken litter or goat waste. So
it's a very good compost. Dad, remember that morning we walked out and it was like freezing cold outside? Yeah,
and there's steam just rolling off this.
Yeah, we have 2 piles out there right now. We have one of fill dirt, which it is fill dirt, but it's like right off the top. It's not very deep at all. So it's still got a lot of nutrition in it, but it's still fill dirt at the end of the day. And then the other pile is that organic compost that we got from the place out in Arlington. And I walked out that morning and I said, holy crap, because you look at this massive mound of compost and there's a large amount of steam coming off it. And then you look over at the fill dirt and there's absolutely nothing. So it is a very, very rich compost. So we're definitely looking forward to seeing what it does. So
yeah, come on, homesteading. There's two Mulch and Moores or some similarly named companies in Jacksonville. One of them is on the west side. That guy's a jerk. Don't buy anything from him. That's right off of I-10, and the other one's over in the Regency area, halfway between. It's just east of Craig Airfield. That's the one that I deal with out there, and they will deliver. You can take a dump trailer, or if you just got a standard trailer and pick it up yourself, that way you don't have to pay a delivery fee.
There is another place. Where was it? It is in Middleburg, which is actually a little bit closer to you. I know I'm like spitting out locations, but there's a place over in Middleburg also their main thing that they sell is stone, but they also have a lot of mulch. It's a very nice establishment. I would also check with them though, but I don't know what their name is. I can't remember.
So that's kind of about it. We already talked a little bit about the garden tonight. We're going to do a kind of a walk around of where we're at so far. Last spring, I did a raised bed build video. So I basically repeated that video 12 times for the raised beds. So they've been out there and we've been kind of piling them with compost in the very bottom of it. All of the wood from Little Rick's property, when we took all those trees out and that got leveled, we brought them up front, and then the smaller pieces we put into the beds, put the compost on top of that. So it's been composting for about a year. Then we put that hard pan dirt, the fill on top of that. So it's kind of been building layers in these boxes for close to a year. So this compost layer that's going to be going on top, that's basically is going to be our soil mix. So that'll be a combination of 3 different ingredients, but that's worked out well. So this weekend I did I hand dug 300 foot of water line out from the goat pasture out to the greenhouse and to the garden structure. So I'll be plumbing that this weekend.
What's even more impressive than that though?
What?
The little one following behind you with a handsaw.
So Rick Isaac, the one that Rick was telling you about earlier, he's very, very rigid in terms of
Thank you, John.
Very rigid in what he's doing. So you got to find those tasks where he can be very particular in how it's done. So I'm using a shovel to hand dig 300 foot of trench, and I told Rick Isaac to go behind me, and I gave him a hand spade. I don't know, this long, it's probably 6 inches, 7 inches maybe. And I said, I need this hole this deep. So he went through and measured it first with the hand spade added dirt to it, took dirt out, and then leveled it out perfectly. But what Ricky's talking about is he had this little saw that I bought him for Christmas, I think. And it's basically a saw handled, a handle with a saw on it, but it's a hacksaw blade. And he would grab the roots and just cut these roots. And he must have cut hundreds and hundreds of roots out by hand, but he finished it. And I was pretty darn proud of him. He did a great job on it.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm thinking to myself when I saw it, I'm like, there's no way that he cut all of it. And I stepped off to the side and I looked long ways at the trench and I said, you got to be kidding. Like, there's got to be something against child labor laws with this stuff. I mean, it was like it. Like I said, you leave him alone and you let him do his thing, and he's either going to aggravate you to no end, or you're looking at him going, bro, you are magnificent. So, and that day he was like on top of his game. So
we got James Petway in here. So Petway Family Farm. So that's who I mentioned a little bit earlier in the live. I haven't heard from you, James. I was hope everything is well. I know Angela's home, and MB Heritage said you posted something today, so I'll have to check that out. But hope everything is well. You had some serious prayer warriors on board for your whole family over the last month. So hopefully Angela's home and doing well, and you guys are kind of getting back into somewhat of a normal groove. I think we are. One last thing. So in the comment section of this video, or even in the live stream, if any of you have, so when my beds are done, and I'm asking for input from you because I don't know. I'm going to have some gaps. The gaps are going to be about 12 foot wide, and I think I'm going to have 3 of these gaps up along the barrier fence on the outside perimeter. And I'm looking for either small fruiting bushes or smaller trees that will bear either fruit or nuts, but they can't be gigantic. I don't want them to be really tall, and I don't want them to come out too far, but they got to be heat tolerant. So any suggestions would be greatly, greatly appreciated. I don't know what to do with those spaces. And James says, yes, we did, Rick. Our prayer warriors are the world to us. Thank y'all. So that's fantastic. So any suggestions that you might have about what would be espalier citrus? Never even heard of that. anything that you can, any suggestions you can make, I'll check out those plants, see if they grow down in zone 8B, and if they're going to be heat tolerant. But I want to find something that's gonna yield some either fruit or nut. I'd say nothing over 10 foot, but something that's not going to take up a lot of horizontal space into the yard either. So,
Mama, you wanna?
So, blueberries I've thought of, Eva. Mama, do you wanna? Yeah, I can't do that. And I don't think Kentucky allows that either. Yeah, I want to be self-sufficient. I don't want to end up in like the county jail.
I'll give you a double tray, Dad.
How much heat? We love blueberries. How about a kiwi? I never even thought of a kiwi. Would that work there? I don't know, but I'll put that on my list to check it out. A spire is growing along a straight line, wire or wall. Never even heard of it. All right, folks, we are going to sign off for the evening. So it's like, I so much appreciate y'all being in here. We're signing off like an hour and 21 minutes into this. We got 24 folks still in here. Thank you much. And always remember, folks, treat others as you would like to be treated. Good night, folks. Really appreciate it.
Night, guys.